Well, I guess with this review, it's spoilers right out of the gate, so be warned, we have Darth Plagueis finally in live action, and I can't really stress this enough, how important this scene is, and it appeared in a very tumultuous series. I wish it was presented in a different way, in a different series, in something totally different. I gotta be honest that even with the appearance of Darth Plagueis, this monumental scene that we've been waiting for ever since 2005, so it's been almost 20 years since we've waited to see Darth Plagueis in live action. Even in The Phantom Menace, I don't know if you know this, but Darth Plagueis was watching little Anakin from afar talking to Qui-Gon on one of the platforms on Coruscant, so in effect, we've been waiting for 25 years or so, and whatever this series did, it again proved to be kind of mediocre and not on par with great writing and great series like the past. The Acolyte, again with the finale, barely sticks the landing. Episode 8 is just a setup for season 2. It barely had time to fill in the gaps. I mean, everything to me felt rushed. The way Osha forgave May, the way Osha turned against Master Soul, everything was done so fast. This is why most people hated episode 7, because it was a total waste. Instead, they should have focused on episode 7 with Osha and May and kind of ease us into the Osha turning in episode 8. But hey, now that the Acolyte is done with, this is no longer our problem. Season 2, if it ever comes, because as I said, episode 8 is all about making sure there is a season 2. I felt like that, at least. If it ever comes, I feel like they should definitely focus more on the Jedi Order, on Chimere, on Plagueis. Enough Osha and May. I felt like these were very low-tier main characters. I really, in the end, did not care about them at all, and that is immediately a failure in my view. If I don't care about the main character, then they should totally, completely change, course correct everything. The episode starts exactly where episode 6 ended, with Osha having Chimere's helmet on, and we see that not only can she possess Chimere similar to the witches, but she can also view the future. She mistakenly thinks it's May who kills Soul, but in fact it was her in the end, as we see by the end of the episode. That whole Soul-May debacle again was so rushed and poorly thought out. Soul did not remove Pip from her, which led her to escape, use an escape pod. See you in hell. That's a Han Solo line, albeit not a well thought out one, but it was pretty disappointing. I mean, I thought in episode 6 that Soul was trying to confess to May and we will have this revelation, but nope, nothing happened. She just escaped. Basil, for no reason, I still don't understand why the hell he stopped Soul from destroying May's ship, or was he trying to capture it? I don't really know, and we'll never find out. I guess Basil is loyal to the Jedi Order, so he wanted for Vernestra to capture May rather than destroy her. It's just a mishmash of, as I said in the beginning, it's a rushed episode, and we don't have a moment to breathe. From the beginning, I had Rise of Skywalker vibes, where the Rise of Skywalker was 5 scenes a second, and you had no time to think. When they go to Brandok, I thought that Mother Coral would definitely make an appearance, but she never did. We never saw a body. She vanished during episode 7, so it means that all those years ago when she disappeared, we have never ever heard from her again. Nobody seems to have heard from her, except for perhaps Plagueis, and I think this is where everything connects. Even Chimere, when Soul talks about how Coral and Mother Anastasia created Osha and May, Chimere seems to reminisce about something, and perhaps it was the teachings of his master Darth Plagueis, who will, as we know now, it is confirmed that through Coral and through these witches, the process of how they created May and Osha from the Force, this is how Palpatine and Plagueis eventually will create what is known as the Chosen One, Anakin Skywalker, albeit in Legends, it is completely accidental. It is the Force rebelling against Palpatine and Plagueis, and this is why it creates a light side being, a being of goodness, who in the end does prove to be good and kills Palpatine, quote unquote, because yeah, Rise of Skywalker. I feel like I have to say this every time, but I feel like Chimere saves every episode, and in this episode, it was the Soul-Chimere duel that kind of saved the episode and was the highlight of the episode, I would say. If you would show anything to a non-Star Wars fan, because, you know, they would know about Plagueis, so why would you show that scene? Because for me, that is the greatest scene, but if you would show somebody a scene from this episode, it would be the fight between Chimere and Soul. Soul, let's be for real. And it was kind of great. It showed a lot of new moves, new perspectives. And the moment they turned to May and Osha fighting, it felt so underwhelming that it was kind of cringy to see. And this is what I meant when I talked about in the beginning that I don't really care about May and Osha. And it hinders the series. I feel like it completely destroys every, emotion that we have towards some sort of a plot. These characters, if they were wiped out completely, nothing would skip a beat. I think we would love to see whatever, Vernestra, the Jedi Order, Yoda, Chimere, Plagueis, all of these aspects are a million times more interesting than this relationship, which in the end, May is made to forget everything, so who cares? It's not well thought out. And ultimately, in this episode, it is completely rushed. I mean, the fact that Osha turns so fast to the dark side, not only that, but she bleeds the crystal while getting turned to the dark side. Again, they are sacrificing a lot about Anakin Skywalker. Not only do we know now that Anakin is not the only being created by the Force, born by the Force itself, but now we have a former Jedi turned Darksider who bleeds their crystal while holding Master Soul's lightsaber. Okay, that can be done later. But the fact that Anakin didn't bleed his crystal in Revenge of the Sith immediately and fought with a blue lightsaber against Obi-Wan, again, this is my problem here. It's that these are not well thought out in regards to the original trilogy, in regards to the prequels. They're completely trampled with, and nobody seems to care that, hey, if Osha can do this, can feel this type of anger immediately, what do you think Anakin felt when he choked out his wife, possibly killed her, and he has his former master, now deadly enemy in Obi-Wan standing in front of him? His anger was immeasurable. Don't you think that he would have turned his lightsaber red right then and there? And Osha force choked Soul to death. I really, again, was expecting somewhat. I knew that he wouldn't reveal himself, of course, because he's a secret Sith at this point, Plagueis, but I really wanted Plagueis to come in and be like the main baddie who destroys everyone. But in the end, I realized that was the only scene we were gonna get from Plagueis. He was complete clickbait about season 2. So yeah, she kills Soul, and in the end, Chimera and Osha go together. They wipe the memory of May, blah blah blah. What's weird to me is that the moment I thought the Jedi were turning a corner, we clearly see that this series definitely treats the Jedi as a kind of a heartless institution. I know Vernestra told Soul, "I'm sorry, my friend," and they tried to kind of brush that off, but the sheer fact that she blamed Master Soul for this entire massacre, for this entire thing in front of the Senate, in front of the Chancellor, just to appease the Senate that the Jedi are not dangerous. For me, that scene basically destroyed the Jedi Order completely, and the fact that the prequels are what they are show the flaw of this series. Mace Windu, before the Clone Wars start, he vehemently says to the Chancellor that the Jedi are peacekeepers, not warriors. Yoda is seen as this esteemed Jedi Master. 800 years, all these Jedi Masters, the High Council, everybody. But in this, it really looks like they're like a heartless corporation. And that's really, really disappointing. In total, I could say that this was the wrong series to bring Plagueis in, and even Chimere for that matter. And for how much you have felt the original trilogy destroyed by the sequel trilogy, they even brought back Palpatine, for crying out loud, so Darth Vader's sacrifice now is not what it used to be when you watch episode 6. But this series did a number on the prequels now as well. So the next time you watch the prequels, just know that the Jedi Order is a corporation now, and they lie and cheat just to prop up their image to the Senate and to the galaxy. I think this is really bad, and it will have repercussions down the line as the years go by. I was really disappointed by this notion. This series in total did more damage than it did good, in my opinion, and if there is a season 2, I think it may be even worse. So because now we're treading into Palpatine territory, Anakin territory. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, if we get there. But leave all your thoughts down below in the comments, and do you want a season 2 more specifically? Thank you guys, see you.